options in content, topic or theme, options in the tools needed for production, one of the things we just talked about, right? What are those tools? Now, do you know what tools are available to you? Another big issue. Do you know what tools are available to you for the students to be able to differentiate, especially if we're dealing with project-based assessment? Yeah.
One thing that I try to be mindful of, because I do this in social studies, is I'm always mindful. I think it's great, all of those, I've done that, where you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, but I'm always mindful that the child's technology may not work at home.
Good.
My printer at home wasn't working this week. So
Right.
I had a struggle with my own middle schooler.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with an old-fashioned skit. The group can get together and do something
Right.
like a drama production.
Right.
Or a writing assessment as well.
Absolutely.
So I always still try to throw in the basic ones,
Yeah.
because not everybody, even the children, don't know how to do all that stuff still. Or they may not have the technology at home. So I try to be mindful of the family, and we
Excellent
have a
point.
very somewhat privileged population in what they have,
Mhm.
but some of them don't always have it, or it may not be working.
Good. Let's take a combination of that with some of the technology the school might have. How many of you teach, where's our history teachers? Okay, teach on the Civil War? Do a unit on the Civil War? All right. When you teach on the Civil War, do you teach about some of the differences that, what was it like for a soldier of the North? What was it like for a mother in the South? You know, these different things. Okay, you do that. One of the schools that I'm working with wanted a really good way to kind of differentiate the way that they assess that. And what we did was, we actually had the students to become those characters, so something kind of similar to what you're talking about. The student became those characters. So you are assigned, you're going to be a mother of the South, and you're going to be a soldier of the North. So every student was assigned a different person, type of person during that time period. Now, being that person, one simple application was used in order for that person, like you're going to do your research, on what it was like to be a mother in the South somewhere, right? And what it was like to raise children in the South during the Civil War. Okay, and you're going to research what it was like to be a soldier of the North. I think I just gave you that role, right? A soldier of the North. You're going to do that research. How are you going to express that research? How are you going to give back to me the fact as a teacher that I know you learned that and you know what that was like? Well, how would we have done it? Let's just go back to how would we have done it 10 years ago?
We'd have
In a
dressed,
report, thank you,
Yeah.
in a report, right?
Yeah.
You're going to write a report, you're going to turn in your reports, and we're going to look at your report. Today we're not going to write a report. You know what you're going to do? You're going to blog every single day for a month on what it's like to be a soldier of the North. We're going to talk about blogs and wikis and those type of things a little bit later, but you're going to blog on it. So in your blog, you're going to become that person. You're going to study what it was like to be that person. And you're going to become that person, and you're going to write in your blog, which is a journal, as if it were you going through that experience. You're going to get really personal with what it was like to be a soldier, so much so that you're going to write your experiences. I, as a teacher, am going to read your blog, and I'm going to learn what it was like from your perspective, knowing what it was like, to see how closely you were able to relate yourself to that individual. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was a form of technology being used instead of writing the paper. Now, if we kind of apply these rules, does that mean we still don't write the paper? Not necessarily, right? Because differentiated instruction means that you want to write the paper. Your strength might be writing. Your strength might not be writing, but your strength, I know, I wouldn't know this if I were your teacher perhaps, but maybe you are just one of those Twitter users and you're on Facebook all the time, and that's you can express yourself that way. You might not use it at all, but you're a really good writer. I want to use what's good that you have, and you might be awesome at creating presentations. You just might have this knack for presentations. So you're going to create a multimedia presentation on what it was like to be a mother of the South and raising kids. You see what I'm saying? Different ways to do it, but we're leveraging a lot of different technology tools to accomplish the same task. They accomplish that same goal. What is my goal? Students will be able to, when they leave this, students will be able to whatever about learning in the Civil War. Okay, those key learning objectives. We don't get rid of the key learning objective just because of technology. Technology is a tool, a pillar. It's a pillar that we can use to differentiate now because there's so many options that we have. we can differentiate how the assessment is done, how the projects are turning, and different things are doing. Does this all make sense? And I know I'm preaching to the choir to a degree, but I want to keep laying the foundation, but help us to see what are other people doing. Yeah.
I think one thing
She's
that
doing a cat thing. Are you taking a picture of me?
I think one thing where I know I feel like I've changed how I've thought about it is I think, a lot of times when we are presented as teachers, all this different stuff, it's like we always have to implement it in our classroom during 8 to 3.
Right.
But it's not necessarily, we have to learn all the bells and whistles of all the things that you're talking about. It's just the actual individual students either A, know how to do it, or B, are willing to learn how and then implement it.
It's an excellent point. It's not necessarily all within that classroom at that time. Remember, at the time you're in the classroom, but there is an important part to when you're in the classroom, though, and